Today we're diving deep into one of psychology's most fascinating paradoxes. We'll explore the hidden reasons why familiar pain can feel safer than unknown joy, examine the psychological mechanisms that keep us trapped in cycles of suffering, and most importantly, discover how to recognize these patterns in our own lives. By the end of this video, you'll have a completely new perspective on why change feels so terrifying, even when we desperately want it. Let's start with a story that might sound familiar. Sarah has been complaining about her job for 3 years. Every Monday morning, she dreads going to work. Her boss micromanages everything she does, her colleagues are unsupportive, and she feels completely unfulfilled. Yet when her friend tells her about an exciting opportunity at another company, Sarah immediately finds excuses. The new job might be too demanding. What if she doesn't fit in? At least at her current job, she knows what to expect. This is the comfort of misery in action. Sarah isn't actually comfortable in the traditional sense, but her suffering has become predictable, familiar, and therefore psychologically safer than the uncertainty of change. Her misery has become her emotional home base. The human brain is fundamentally wired for survival, not happiness. Our ancestors who were overly optimistic about new situations often didn't live long enough to pass on their genes. Those who erred on the side of caution, who viewed unfamiliar situations with suspicion, were more likely to survive. This evolutionary programming still influences our decision-making today, making us instinctively prefer the devil we know over the angel we don't. When we're in familiar situations, even painful ones, our brains don't have to work as hard. We know the rules, we understand the patterns, and we can predict the outcomes. This predictability creates a sense of control, even when that control is largely illusory. Breaking free from these patterns requires mental energy and emotional courage that can feel overwhelming. There's also something called the sunk cost fallacy at play here. We've invested so much time, energy, and emotion into our current situation that abandoning it feels like admitting defeat. If Sarah has spent 3 years at her terrible job, leaving now might feel like those 3 years were wasted. The longer we stay in situations that don't serve us, the harder it becomes to leave because we don't want to acknowledge that we've been making the wrong choice for so long. But perhaps the most powerful force keeping us stuck is our identity. Over time, our struggles become part of who we are. Sarah might unconsciously identify as someone who has a terrible boss or someone who never gets the recognition she deserves. These identities, while painful, provide a sense of self that feels solid and real. Changing our circumstances means changing our identity, and that can feel like losing ourselves entirely. Fear of success is another hidden factor. Success brings its own set of challenges and responsibilities. It makes us visible, accountable, and potentially vulnerable to criticism. Staying in familiar suffering means we never have to face the pressure of living up to our potential or dealing with the envy and expectations that success can bring. Sometimes we also derive secondary benefits from our misery. Complaining about our situations can bring us sympathy, attention, and connection with others. We might be the person others come to for support because we understand struggle. Our suffering can become our social currency, our way of relating to the world and maintaining relationships. The comfort of misery also shows up in our relationships. We might find ourselves repeatedly attracted to partners who treat us poorly because that treatment feels familiar. If we grew up in chaotic households, calm and stable relationships might actually feel boring or uncomfortable. The drama and unpredictability of toxic relationships can feel more like love because that's what we learned love looked like in our formative years. This pattern extends beyond romantic relationships. We might maintain friendships that drain us, stay connected to family members who consistently hurt us, or surround ourselves with people who reinforce our negative self-beliefs. These relationships confirm what we think we know about ourselves and the world, even when that knowledge is painful and limiting. Breaking free from the comfort of misery requires first recognizing it in our lives. Start by examining areas where you consistently complain but take no action to change. Look for patterns where you sabotage good opportunities or find excuses to avoid positive changes. Notice when you feel uncomfortable during genuinely happy moments or when things are going well. The key to change isn't eliminating fear or discomfort entirely. Instead, it's learning to become comfortable with uncertainty and to see unfamiliarity as possibility rather than threat. This requires gradually expanding our comfort zone and building tolerance for the anxiety that comes with growth. One powerful technique is to reframe your relationship with discomfort. Instead of seeing anxiety as a sign that you're making the wrong choice, try viewing it as evidence that you're growing. The discomfort of positive change feels different from the discomfort of staying stuck, even though both can feel scary in the moment. It's also crucial to develop a new identity that isn't rooted in struggle. Start seeing yourself as someone who deserves good things, who is capable of handling success, and who can create positive change. This identity shift happens gradually through small actions that contradict your old story about yourself. Building a support system of people who encourage growth rather than enable stagnation is essential. Surround yourself with individuals who challenge you to be better rather than those who commiserate with your complaints. Sometimes this means distancing yourself from relationships that keep you stuck in old patterns. The journey away from familiar suffering isn't easy, but it's necessary for genuine happiness and fulfillment. Remember, choosing growth over comfort doesn't mean your life will become problem-free. It means you'll face challenges from a position of strength rather than victimhood, and you'll develop the confidence to handle whatever comes your way. Understanding the comfort of misery isn't about judging ourselves harshly for staying in difficult situations. It's about compassionately recognizing the very human tendency to choose the familiar over the unknown, and then consciously deciding to take the risk of creating something better. Your misery might feel safe, but safety isn't the same as happiness. True security comes not from avoiding all risks, but from knowing you can handle whatever challenges life brings your way. The courage to leave familiar suffering behind is the first step toward discovering what genuine joy and fulfillment actually feel like.